This session of the course, Thinking About Your Future, is a guide to help you take effective action with realistic plans. Looking at the list of soft skills you want to make improvements on, have you got any idea of how to change and improve your behavior? One thing that I'd like to highlight here is focused attention. Let's take communication skills as an example. We know that it requires a good level of clarity, confidence, and active listening. And for example, I have found out that I especially lack confidence when communicating with others. So I wanted to know how to boost my confidence. It turned out that I should stop comparing myself with others. Instead, I should take care of myself and surround myself with positive people. Each of these practices of improving my confidence is a subtle aspect of my behavior and thoughts. This means that if I'd like to be more confident, I need to stay focused and conduct some practices very carefully. Deliberate practice is a powerful way to improve people's performance. It's a type of purposeful and systematic practice that requires attention and a goal to improve one's performance. It's the opposite of regular practice, which involves mindless repetitions. An example of this practice is the story of Ben Franklin. He intuitively grasped the secret of deliberate practice. In order to improve his writing, he made a great effort to work on his vocabulary and text organization by studying others' work intensively. You can pause the video and carry on reading the story. The concept of deliberate practice is attributed to psychologist Carl Anders Ericsson, who, along with his collaborators, performed pioneer research in the field of expert performance. The definition of this concept kept changing, while it mainly includes four aspects. Firstly, you need to establish a specific goal, and secondly, you must be fully focused on improving during your practice. You must also repeat and receive immediate feedback on your performance. Lastly, you must get out of your comfort zone, constantly attempting things that are just out of reach. Since deliberate practice is specifically designed to help people improve their performance, you need to have a goal in mind. The goal should be specific and achievable. This is the first component of deliberate practice. SMART rules can help you with this. I will show you a step-by-step approach to create SMART goals later in this lesson. Deliberate practice is a mindful practice. This means you need to stay maximally focused. The process must be intense, uninterrupted, and repetitive. It may not be pleasant, but it's worth the effort. It's suggested that you can only do deliberate practice for 4 to 5 hours a day and 60 to 90 minutes per time. Otherwise, you may be very exhausted. It's also recommended that you must receive immediate feedback on your performance. Without it, you can't figure out what you need to modify and how close you are to achieving your goal. With this being said, you may need a teacher or a coach to point out your weaknesses and progress. Last but not least, remember to leave your comfort zone. Repeating practice inside your comfort zone doesn't equal deliberate practice. You should focus on trying things that fall into your learning zone. Things are just out of your reach. As the first component of deliberate practice is creating a specific goal, it would be great if you can master the SMART rules. We have always wanted to achieve something or give up something. Well, setting realistic goals is hard. Statements that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound help us distinguish how to get on each expected level and reach our broader goals. Let's take a look at these two statements. We tend to hold a kind of statement on the left, well, it's too vague to be achieved. If you just say, I want to improve my performance at work, it's unclear. If we change it according to SMART rules, then we can have something like, to grow in my career, I need to improve my PowerPoint skills. By taking online classes and reviewing tutorials, I will improve my PowerPoint skills so that it only requires 25% of my work time. So as a result, we can be clearer about our resolutions and the effort required to be made. Now we will learn how to avoid creating generic statements and create more smart ones. SMART goals refer to statements that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. The goals you aim to create should have each of these characters. To make statements specific, it should contain not only things that will be accomplished, but also actions you will take. An action often has who, what, when, where, which, and why related content. This means that if possible, you can mention other people, the time, the location of, and the reasons for your action in your statement. To make the statement, I want to improve my performance at work, more specific, we can change it to something like, I received a low mark on my ability to use PowerPoint at my last performance review. Improving my skills requires that I learn how to use PowerPoint efficiently and practice using it by creating various presentations. I'd like to be more proficient using PowerPoint in time for my next review in 6 months. We can see that this statement includes 4 W's. By identifying the why and what component, you may be more motivated to achieve your goal. Making your goals measurable is also important. The way you measure outcomes can be both qualitative and quantitative. This depends on whether you can allocate a number to the outcomes. If it's quantitative, you need to consider where the data come from and how you can collect them. For example, if you want to improve your understanding of an academic subject, a direct way to measure your progress is to sit exams and tests, and the data will be test scores. Quantitative measurement for this issue may be asking for feedback, which is descriptions of your current progress from your teachers. Going back to the previous example, the statement of an employee aiming to improve their ability to make PowerPoint presentations, they can add something like, by the time of my next review, I should be able to create presentations that incorporate graphs, images, and other media in a couple of hours. I should also be able to use and create templates in PowerPoint efficiently. So you can see that the outcomes can be measured. It's important to break down the task so you can manage the workload. How can you know if the goal is achievable? You can consider whether you have any tools or skills that can assist you. If there's anything you lack, you need to find ways to attain it. It's often the case that hard work takes time, which is fine because deliberate practice is meant to be time-consuming. The example we look at takes account of the availability of the person's time and possible support the person can get from other coworkers to achieve the goal. If your goal doesn't deviate from your long-term planning and resolutions, it would be a source of self-motivation. Envision what kind of person you want to be and spend time planning your personal development so you can know if the goal can contribute to your long-term growth. The previous example is about work, so the person needs to consider whether the goal aligns with the broader business goal. It's said that improving my PowerPoint skills is instrumental in moving forward in my career and receiving a better performance review. Working with PowerPoint is currently 25% of my job. As I move up in the company, I need to spend 50% of my time creating PowerPoint presentations. I enjoy my career and I want to continue to grow within this company. If your current goal is part of a larger project or requirement asked by your teachers, for example, you can set yourself deadlines in between to remind you about how urgent the task is. Let's look at this example. The person says, in 6 months, I should be proficient in PowerPoint, ensuring it only occupies 25% of my workload instead of the nearly 40% of the time it occupies now. After brainstorming the details of your goals, you can put them together and make a concrete statement. When you have finished writing your statement, it should clearly show your purpose, expected outcomes, and ways to achieve it. Milestone indicates deadlines before the final official deadline. This is the end of the lesson. Thank you for listening. I hope you have gained something useful.